Looking back last week, again, just proud of our guys, how they came out and fought after two tough losses that we had. And, just a lot of energy. Offensive line played outstanding. Defense played great. So yeah, it was a great win and something to build off of as we head into the back half of the season. We know we have NC State this week, and Coach Dorn's done a great job down there. Um, you know, Very good football team. They lost a heartbreaker last week to Miami, 31-30. Playing really good defense. Very aggressive up front. Linebackers flow and can tackle. Then offensively, I think they have a quarterback that's playing some really good football right now. His touchdown to interception ratio is really strong. He can throw the ball. They have some two really good running backs. Their offensive line is very solid. So I just think overall they're just a good football team. They're playing hard, and that gives you a chance. And they sitting there at 5-2, another ranked team that we have an opportunity to go play on the road. It's going to be exciting. This will probably be the best atmosphere on the road that we've played in since we've been here. And I know NC State always has a live crowd, and the last time we went down, it was kind of their record wasn't as good, and it was rainy, and the crowd wasn't as good. But we anticipate this crowd to be a very good crowd, and Halloween, and so a lot of things going on with this one. So, but I think we're looking forward to this and an opportunity right now. We told our team, kind of where we're sitting within the ACC standings. There's still a lot of great opportunity in ACC. We take care of business Saturday, then we're sitting in second place on our side. Everybody on the other side has at least two losses except for Pitt in the conference. And on our side, everybody will have two except for Wake. And, and there's a lot of ball left to be played. So they're still planning for a lot of things at this point in the season. And you got to find all those things as a football team. We're sitting here where we are right now in this point in the season. We came out of this last game very healthy. That was probably the best game as far as health-wise after playing a game that we've had all season, and that's big for us at this point in the season, particularly coming off of that bye. So we're excited about this opportunity this week and looking forward to playing NC State.
Scott, Jody Dunley with Cardinal Authority. When you just said heartbreaking losses like three times, I think, and everybody, as you're about over halfway in, everybody in this league seems to be 1 point game, 2 point game, 4 point game. There's not a whole lot of blowouts. You've seen a lot of the teams now on tape, I think, as you prepare for others. Is that just the way it's going to be all season, you feel?
Well, it may be. It's as you're watching all these games in our league. It's so competitive. Like every game is like right there down to the wire. And what we've talked about is we all know this. Really, it's how you finish these games in the fourth quarter. That's why it's heartbreaking, particularly the Virginia game when you're sitting there up at 17 and you just didn't find a way to finish it out. And to their credit, they did. They found the ways, and that's why they're sitting there with the record they have. And the same with Wake Forest. And because they're finishing out these games and they're finding a way just to make one more play in order to make that happen. We were able to do that this past week. This game in the fourth quarter was a one-possession game. It could go either way. Offensively, we took the ball and went down the field and scored a touchdown. That was huge for us. And we got to be able to do those kind of things, close out those teams, and win that fourth quarter. It will be no different for most of these games that we're going to play the rest of the season. You just think about State last week against Miami. Miami's a 2-5 team. It doesn't matter. The game's coming down right there to the very end of the game. And it's a 31-30 game. So, that's just the way this is, and you got to be able to play the full game and be focused throughout the whole game.
Scott, Matt McGavick with Sports Illustrated. You mentioned after the Boston College game that part of the defensive game plan was to be aggressive, stack the box, send pressure. After the success you guys saw being aggressive on defense, is that something you want to continue to employ moving forward, or is that just specific to that individual game plan against BC?
No, I think obviously we want to play great defense. We want to be able to put pressure on offenses, and there's a time and a place for certain things, and we even dropped 8 in that game, and it worked several times. But you have to bring pressure. You have to be able to make those quarterbacks be uncomfortable because these quarterbacks in this league are pretty daggone good. And if they sit back there long enough, they're going to pick you apart. And, so there's got to be times where you bring pressure, get him off his spot, make him have to make a decision earlier than he wants to make. And that's going to bode well for us. And defensively, there's no different like when they come after Cunningham, and where he's got to throw the ball a little bit earlier than he wants to. A lot of times it doesn't work out in our favor, and where he's been great is where he's able to get out of trouble and go get first downs like he did Saturday. And so, yeah, we want to be able to do that. We want to continue to mix it up, bring pressure. Our guys do a great job when they're bringing pressure, on the quarterback, and then therefore you don't have to cover as long on the backside of that, and with our DBs. So yeah, we want to continue to implement that and just play solid defense. And I think what we showed Saturday is that we're capable of doing that. We just got to bring it another week.
Scott Cameron, Courier-Journal. NC State's got a really good defense. I mean, they're probably one of the top in the country in scoring defense. They don't get a ton of sacks. They don't get a ton of tackles for a loss. But on film, what stands out about them?
Well, the first thing that stands out is they play extremely hard. All the guys. Number 10, their safety. He's not very big. He's probably 180 pounds, but he will fly and hit you as hard as anybody we've played this year. I mean, that's just what he does. He's like a heat-seeking missile. Like he's just one player. But their defensive line, they're a three-down team, and they'll drop 8 a lot. I mean, but they keep everything in front of them, and those three D linemen really get after it. And they really free their linebackers up. I think 32 is a really good player. Just a play hard guy. Number 1, I was reading something about number 1 where he was up halfway point, maybe defensive player of the year in the ACC. I mean, he's an outstanding player as a middle linebacker, and he went out of the game last week, so I'm not sure his status. He's out. Okay. Well, I hate to hear that for him, but he's a really good player as well. And it's just they keep everything in front of them, and they make the offense have to move the ball. And so you go back and watch them; they are shutting the run game down from everybody. I think La Tech had the most yards rushing against them throughout the season, which was 135 yards, not very many at all. Mississippi State couldn't run the ball. I mean, South Florida couldn't do anything. They're just a very, very solid defense, and they're not afraid to bring pressure. As we talk about pressure, they will bring the house, and try to put the pressure back on the offense. So, but yes, it's a good defense. It's a swarming defense, and I know they've had some injuries, and they lost Peyton Wilson early in the year, and now I guess number 1, and which obviously hurts them. You got to start playing some guys that maybe hadn't played as much, but I think just the scheme of their defense gives them an opportunity.
Your offensive line, if you go back and look at the stats, you flipped the tackles for loss allowed and the sacks allowed to being one of the worst to one of the best. Does that change your play calling at all, knowing that they've done that?
Yeah. I mean, we're just really proud of them, first of all. Yeah, we were – the last couple of years we've been some of the worst in the country in tackles for loss and sacks, and I think we're 14th and 9th, so top 15 now in the country in that, and that's been great. They've been playing really well, and I thought offensive line played their best game against BC Saturday. Opened up some big holes Saturday, and I think it gives us confidence to know that that we, no matter what we're calling, that we're going to be in plus yardage. I think, and that just keeps you on the sticks and enables you to have an opportunity to at least pick up a third down. To me, that's been our worst thing we've done this year. I think we were 40% Saturday on third down, and we got to do a better job on third downs because we are giving ourselves. We don't have as many of these 3rd and 14 or 18 or whatever. We've had some of those in the past, and but yeah, it does maybe changes a little bit just because it keeps you on the chains, and you got an opportunity to get first downs. I think that's probably the biggest thing.
When you look back, obviously Malik was great on the ground, but the passing game, the 2 interceptions. Were they mistakes by him, or when you looked at the film, what was it on Saturday?
Well, I think the first one, we want to take a shot. We're in the point of the game where we obviously want to try to get Tyler Harrell the ball, and he ran by him. Initially, I thought he really underthrew him quite a bit, but going back and watching, it wasn't that much of an underthrow. I think number 10 made a great play. And I didn't realize, you go back and look over his career, number 10, I think he's got 9 or 10 interceptions on his career. He's a really good has really good ball skills. I mean, he had to flip around, turn up, and catch the football. It was a great play by him. And when they caught that, they're backed up on their -10. The way our defense is playing, it doesn't really hurt you that bad. But, I mean, that was a great play. Sometimes the defense wins. The other one, another great play by number 9. And maybe that was a little bit more, probably a little bit on my fault. I shouldn't have called that play in that particular time. We had just had the bigger punt return on that. We get a penalty that knocks us back to the plus 31. And, we ran a little skinny with Ford, and he just jumped it, because that's a time and throw. Malik's got to throw that ball as Ford's coming out of his break. Number 9 beat him to the point. I don't want to say it was Malik, but, I mean, he's trying to throw it on time on that one. And but a great play by number 9. And probably tendency breaker. We got to do some better things offensively than to maybe call that. I put that on myself rather than Malik. But, we obviously don't want to turn the football over. The two two really big turnovers with 2 fumbles. I mean, we got to take care of the football, running the football, and Hassan fumbles and Cooley fumbles on those 2 big plays right there. That particularly, Hassan, we're going in to get ready to score, and then we're coming off the goal line on the other one, and we put our defense right back in a tough situation. So obviously, this will be a huge game for us to be able to take care of the football. Oh man, that's a good question because he's always been a pretty good runner. I think I just remember the year I got here, he was the leading rusher the year before, the 2018 season, I think. And he's just got a good ability, man, to make people miss. And just when they think they got him hemmed up, Saturday, there was some plays Saturday, I was incredible. I didn't know how he got out of it, but I think this year we got some really intentional plays for him, and I think where it gives him a better opportunity to be able to make some plays, particularly down in the red zone. We want to put the pressure on the defenses we're playing and allow him to be able to run the football within some of those situations. And he's been a good decision maker. I think better decision maker probably this year, maybe than in the past with him running the football. To me, the biggest growth is poise in the pocket. I think that's been the biggest thing this year. I'm watching the film from NC State 2 years ago, and man, there's times we got some guys open, he just take off running. Where this year, sitting in the pocket, he's making those throws, and when he does need to get out, he's been able to do that. So I think just decision making has probably been the best thing this year.
Scott, you mentioned the fumbles, and obviously Cooley's the one who fumbled down to kind of near the red zone. You put him back in on that last drive to kind of finish the game off. What does it say about him that, he's a freshman, is able to put that behind him so quickly and finish the game off?
Yeah, that was big. I think, anytime you do have a mistake like that, you want to try to get them back out there so they can get that confidence back up. That was a good play by the corner. He turns it up. He comes from behind, but it's a good learning lesson for him that once you still break the line of scrimmage to keep the ball high and tight on the inside. And I go back and we watch that film, that last drive, and, man, he's got really good ball security within that. And that's what we want to see. Go back out, and he made some great runs there. I think that drive may have put him over 100 that last series there. So I think just continues for his growth. We've said that about Cooley. I think he's got a big upside. He just needs the opportunities, and he got that Saturday and made the most of it.
And, Scott, I know Saturday you said Court was on a leave of absence. Do you know who will coach outside linebackers in place of him?
Well, the thing that we do within our whole building is that we team coach anyway. We do that on offense. We do that on defense. And I know the people out on the outside don't understand how we operate inside. But we're a lot of team coaching, and they're all picking up the slack on that side of the ball. And not only our full-time coaches, but our GAs as well. Jake is going to take over some of that responsibility, but really all of them are in there coaching. We meet as a defensive unit. We always have. We're on the field, and everybody's coaching that way. So again, we'll go out there and handle business with our whole staff. Yeah. We going back and watching the film, he did a great job. Not only did he get the pick right there, which was awesome, but in the run fits, going in and going, because our safeties were asking him, they got to come up and take an A gap, take B gap, or off the edge, and he did a really good job with his fits. And I think again, I talked about this, but it goes back to his practice habits. Here's a guy who had injuries. He's kind of been. We brought in some transfers. And he's a guy that could have been pouting, but he wasn't. He was a guy that said, let me keep getting better. When my opportunity shows, then I'm going to make the most of it. And that's what he's done. We tell that to our guys all the time. He's just a great example of that. So when he had an opportunity to go out and play, he made plays. So when you do that, you're going to play more. And so he's going to be in the rotation. He's going to play. And I'm excited about him, excited about what he can do. We always have been since he's been here. He just had some unfortunate things happen injury-wise. So hopefully now he'll be able to get in there and just be a routine player for us that's going to make plays.
Scott, you mentioned the quarterbacks in this league, and you mentioned Leary. What is the key against him? And I think it's 17-2 touchdowns, and I don't think he's thrown an interception since week 2. What's the key with him?
Yeah, he's very solid, and he's if there's an open receiver, then he's going to hit him. He's a very accurate player. I think going back to even high school, I think he was maybe like an Elite 11 type kid coming out. A very good passer. I think for him again, we've talked about it. You gotta be able to mix it up on him. You can't just play the one defense all day. He'll pick you apart. You got to bring pressure. You got to get in his face. You got to make him off. He's not like Cunningham where he's going to go take off and run. You know, he's going to be sitting in the pocket. He's going to find those guys. So we got to be able to bring pressure and make him throw the ball earlier than he'd like to be able to throw it. And then we got to do a good job in our coverage zones too as well. And then the big thing I think too, playing against him is if you can shut down that run game, because you know part of their deal is going tempo and part of it's some RPO stuff. But if you can make them one-dimensional, shut down the run game, and force them into throwing the football, I think that bodes well for us also.
Hey, Scott, Matt again. How does a performance against Boston College on the defensive side of the ball bode for that unit's confidence and heading into this game against NC State, where they do have a lot of weapons on that side of the ball? How will that help in that overall game plan?
Well, I think it goes back. I think we had our best week of preparation last week defensively. You know, the guys knew exactly what the plan was, and in practice we're executing that, and there really wasn't hardly any bust. And I think when you have that, then that carries on to Saturday. And so hopefully they'll take that note from last week, carry that into this week to say, all right, this is exactly what our plan is. How can we attack this offense and practice it that way and know mentally what it is? It's so much – defensive football is so mental. I mean, it's so mental about where the offense is lining up in, what's their tendencies, what's the down and distance, what's the field position. All these things have to go in your head really quickly, but it's all in your preparation throughout the week. So I think it does give them confidence to know that they can do it. They just got to handle their business and be focused.
Scott, you mentioned the offensive line, and they struggled early in the year, but like you said, the probably best game against Boston College. Is it something you guys are doing schematically to help them get to kind of gel, or is it just them getting the reps with each other?
Yeah, I think just probably just the reps over time. And, you know, if you noticed over the last 3 conference games, we've been better and better and better as we've run the football. And, you know, again, we talked about it last week. Boston College giving up 120-some yards rushing the game, and you rush for 331. I mean, that's a big-time rushing performance, and it started up front. I think we're starting to mesh and gel with our guys up front. We're playing 7 guys, and they're getting significant action, those 7 with the rotation. We're also healthy. You know, Gonzalez was hurt early in the season. Adonis was hurt, and Renato was hurt early in the season. And so this past week, they all were healthy, and I think that also helped. So now you got experience with all the guys playing together, and they're all healthy, and I think that was probably a big reason, you know, why they were able to come out there and perform the way they did. Mm-hmm. Yeah, you know, I think it takes time when you get some new coaches, particularly when you got 5 guys that you're coaching. So I think that's been a great adjustment, and over the course of the season to know, all right, here's his style of coaching, how the guys play in, what are our adjustments, how do we go about those, and that's been a lot smoother over the last month. You know, I think first game, you know, you got to work on some things. Second game, you know, then you start getting better and better. So, but Coach Bick's done a great job. You think about the tackles for loss, the sacks that we're not giving up, the protections. We've tightened up the protections way better. You know, and we're doing all this with, you know, running the football with, 4 guys, really 3 running backs and a quarterback. You know, and you think about the receiving core, how we spread that out. It's not just one guy. You know, so we're certainly a team when it comes to offensive football. It's not just one person. I mean, you could arguably say Cunningham's the one person, but distributing the ball to a bunch of different players. And, you know, I think that's been critical for us to be able to do that and use a bunch of guys to help us move the football. So I'm proud of the guys up front. We're going to need another big-time effort this week. All right, thanks, guys.